Welcome to Straight Talk for Entrepreneurs, where we reveal what it really takes to build a successful business. Whether you are starting with an idea or growing your business, this is the show for you. My guests and I will show you how to build a strong mindset, a powerful body, a profitable business. Hi, I'm Brandon C. White, and this is Build a Business Success Secrets.
Weight loss often comes, nutrition is like 80, I want to say almost 90% of the equation. Your workout is a very, very small piece of the equation as far as fat loss. So let me just say that, because people are like, I want to lose weight. Can I join your program? I'm like, yes, but without nutrition, you won't see the results you want.
Well, I did an experiment, Shannon, and I did this.
You did?
I did. I stopped riding. I was probably riding less than 50 miles a week, which is doable for an average person. And maybe some weeks, 25 miles. I didn't want to stop completely. And I did this. It's not a diet. It's a nutritional approach by this guy, Dr. Gundry, called the Plant Paradox, that basically says no corn, no soy, which truthfully your body can't process. It's not a plant paradox. It's not this paleo thing that basically everybody winds up in ketosis, which is not sustainable. But for some people, I know everybody out there, that there's a marathon runner, he lives on, that's like 5 standard deviations from the norm. Like, let's talk about,
right.
Let's talk about average normal
bringing up
human
statistics, Brandon.
Like, let's talk about normal people here. That's just not going to work. And what I did, is I followed it, and it's something that you can live. I actually since that moment, I've tried to live in that. And I got down to 143 pounds. I didn't exercise as much. This is how, there's a friend of mine who's a special forces guy, the elite of the elite guy. So let's just say this guy, we'll give him the credit, right? He's a good friend of mine. And I picked him up from the airport, and he said, Brandon, I don't want to be metro or anything, but like you look amazing. Like, you have this glow, you have this, like, everything. What have you been doing? And I said, I got to tell you, John, I've been doing this thing, and it's a nutritional approach, and it's obviously worked. I haven't been this lean since like high school.
Wow.
I want to do it. And he did it. And he followed it just like I did. Same thing. He stopped swimming as much. He does more swimming and things like that. And he got lower than when he had trained, lower and stronger than he had done when he trained to go into this special mission force unit.
Wow.
So I think I'm only saying that to support your point. Like, you're not going to out exercise a bad diet. If you want abs, stop running. I'm not saying don't do exercise. I'm just saying it's all in your diet.
It's all in your diet. You're right. You cannot outrun a bad diet. And I think actually what people do is, and I wonder if this happened to your friend, I wonder if he was almost, when he was training really hard, back for, what was it? Some special forces, something.
Yeah. It's like the most elite unit in the Army. It's hard. There haven't been that many people ever in it. And the requirements are very hard in the training and all those things. So I'm just saying, it's one of those things where you can't fool around. It's not just the Ironman. It's like the Ironman for a year.
Right. Like, intense. It's interesting that you say that, because my guess is that because what I alluded to earlier, results are made in recovery. And so what people do is they end up working out too intensely, and they actually end up regressing and not seeing the results that they could. So I almost wonder if that happened to him. I almost wonder if he was training too hard, and like, if he had backed up a little bit, he actually would have seen better results. Like, because you said he, this last time, he wasn't training very hard and he was just cleaning up diet and saw better results. And I see that. I've seen that happen in my body. Like, I used to work out every day, if not sometimes twice a day, and like intensely, like intense workouts. And I ate like almost nothing. Like I was just busy. So I wasn't doing it on purpose. Like I was just busy and whatever. And I think that not only did that jack up other stuff like my sleep and my mood and all of that stuff, but now I work out for less than I ever have in my life. I work out, all I do is my classes, and I work out, my classes are like 30 minutes. 30 minutes Monday through Friday. I take the weekends completely off. I'll either walk or whatever, but I eat a lot cleaner during the week than I ever have. And I eat enough. And not only does my body not hurt like it used to, I used to have all this chronic pain, but my body physically looks like the most muscular than it's ever looked. I was thin back then, but I didn't, it's like you almost look healthier. Like it's hard to like describe. It's just like a look. So I do think that I always caution people when they're like, I need to work out every single day and I need to work out really, really hard every single day. And I say, maybe if you step back and if you do less, you could actually see better results. So it's a total shift, but not only do you save your body and save your joints, but you save more time in your life. I mean, who doesn't want that?
Yeah. So here's something. I read a book my biking coach had given me in my late 30s, and it's called Younger Next Year. It's mainly tuned towards men, but it's applicable to women. And I say it's tuned towards men mainly because it's written by two men. And I think that too many times men seem to want to write about women, which I think is okay, but we don't have your body, and it's completely different in almost every regard. I mean, you can like grow a human. We cannot do that.
What?
I mean, that's real, right? Like there's a lot of things going on there that, and I'm not saying that male doctors don't know that. All I'm saying is that sometimes you got to live that life to truly know it. But
yes, agreed.
What it talks about is that it's called Younger Next Year. I got no like interest in it other than what it was talking. And some of the stuff actually is old from a psychology standpoint. The neocortex and all this right left brain is actually completely wrong. The science has shown that the regions of the brain actually can do more than what they used to think, and this whole primitive brain and all this crap, which really blew my mind quite candidly. It's blown my mind.
I need to read this book. Yeah.
Well, I'll give you another book by 7 essays that will blow your mind about it's a myth buster. And I have a master's in psychology, so I'm into all this. And it just blows your mind that this primitive brain, that's all fake. It's all been totally disproved by modern science that can measure it. Yeah, it's completely wrong.
Wow.
100% wrong. But that's like another 3-hour podcast, but or discussion. But importantly, along that way is, and I'm getting to something because this ties into something that you've said that I want to talk about. Well, one is I want to talk about the guilt of recovery days, which I suffer from immensely. But two is this point that what their whole premise is that really what happens in your body from a cell perspective and muscles, and they talk about it, is that when you start getting in your 40s and 50s and then 60 plus, you're getting these degenerative cells that are basically taking over your body, and you need to flush them with younger or actually new cells that are generated. So they recommend, and I've been doing this basically since I guess I got in my 40s. I was riding bikes, so it didn't matter, but they say 6 days of exercise, Shannon, for at least an hour a day and at least zone 2. To flush the old cells out with newer, younger cells that basically keep you from aging. So do you know anything about this, or this whole like theory about this?
That's fascinating. From like a cell perspective, that doesn't surprise me. I would love to like read that book, but the red flag to me is that, the repetition that you have through your body in exercise is what can. So is what can, damage your joints. And so is it a wash? Is it that we are potentially damaging our joints with the excessive repetition, and then, you are building more younger cells or whatever it is? So does that end up being a wash? And are you trading one problem for another? Are you trading potentially younger cells for more worn down joints? I mean, that would be my question with all of that.
Well,
I'm not saying it's not interesting, for sure. I'm not saying that it's right or wrong, but that would be kind of my red flag.
So here's what they recommend. They actually recommend riding your bike because it's probably the lowest impact exercise known to man, other than what you teach now.
Yes.
I mean, seriously.
I would agree with that, but it's still thousands and thousands of repetition in the same motion. So, and it's like hinged forward. So you have that moment arm going through your back the whole time, and potentially compression and all of that stuff. So that is and I think that's like a big, I'm not saying biking is wrong, by the way.
I know. What you just described is absolutely fact. There's thousands of repetitions and you are leaned over. Like if you don't have a strong core, you're ruining your joints.
Yeah. And the strongest core can't protect from a certain amount of force that's beyond, what your body can tolerate. So it's like, I just was reading actually a study that being hinged flexed forward is like, it is something like 5 times more compression through your back than like being laying on your back. So if you're in that position, even if you're not using any weight for a long period of time, and then doing the repetitive hip flexion, what are the consequences to your body? Now, and that's always what I want to ask is like, what are the consequences and what are the rewards? So for some people, the rewards might outweigh the consequences, and that maybe the rewards are that cell turnover. And that's ultimately more important to you than maybe the health of your discs or whatever it might be. So I think like that's what makes exercise so fascinating. It's not black and white. It's like what you always have to analyze. What am I getting out of this? And what is this potentially taking from me?
And do you, one of the things I think is touching on your point that's really important is you can listen to me, you, 5 other people who might know what they're talking about. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is to analyze yourself and get in tune with your body, right?
Yes. And what's important to you. And I have people that say that I have runners, running is not my favorite activity from a biomechanical standpoint, but I have runners that tell me, look, this is my meditative time. And this is my time that helps my brain, and that helps the rest of my life. And I'm going to deal with a little bit of knee pain because that is more important to me. And I'm like, okay, great. Like you do it. Like I know that how many runners are like that. So that's a thing, that's real. And that doesn't mean that, they're bad and they need to stop immediately. It's like, just what's important to you. And I do know that so many people are like me, and that feeling good in their body is the most important thing to them. Like maybe they don't see exercise as meditative, or maybe they don't really even like exercising that much. They kind of want to just do the least amount for the biggest reward. And I'm like, okay, those are my people. And we'll have a little bit of fun and we'll laugh at ourselves while we're doing it. But yeah, I mean, I think you hit it the nail on the head. There's no demonizing any of this. Like, I don't think that's productive.
I think you're right. I think I exercise because of the mental space. I actually get more work done on my bike than I do other places. I am a type A person who needs to let his mind rest. And the best way that I found, and for people, it may be yoga, it may be meditation, it may be the 6 other things. For me, it's to go up a hill where there is nothing else that can be on my mind but going up that hill because I'm so tired, right? And I don't want to age. So I'm trying to fight that. Having said that, I found exactly what you said, which comes to my next question for you, which is I used to lift like 6 days a week and I gained size and did all that stuff. In my 40s, I realized ironically that I was growing more than I ever had by lifting less and taking rest days. However, my question for you is that how do people like us, or do you recommend people like us deal? I heard you let me finish, take the rest day, because here's what I just heard from you, which I love about you is, but by the same token, I knew that you had the same problem or same challenge, not problem, challenge that we all have, which is you're like, yeah, I work out during the week, I rest on the weekends, I walk or whatever, but like, how do we deal with, like, even on my rest day is Monday, and yesterday I did 4 sets of sit-ups. I got this iron neck. I never seen it. Know if you've seen this iron neck machine, because I think my head weighs a lot and my neck hurts from my bike.
Big brain.
I don't know what it is. You can talk to my wife offline and debate what that means. But and I did 4 sets of dumbbell presses. But that's my off day because there's something in my brain that's like, I just feel guilty. So do you have any advice about that?
Oh my gosh, like you are so not alone with that. In that there is this guilt where, and again, I think that's conditioning from the fitness industry that we need to train every day or we're not going to get to the results that we want. And listen, your muscles just don't work like that because your muscles require a certain amount of time to heal and recover. So you can work out 6 days a week if you are intentional about your programming and you are working chest and back on one day and legs on another day, and the next day you're working core and You're not working the same muscle groups 2 consecutive days, and you're really not working muscle groups more than 2 times a week. So, and maybe I like to say 1 time a week. Sometimes you could do 2 times a week. But your muscles have to have that recovery time because what happens is when you lift a weight and you create little tears in your muscle because the weight gets too heavy that you can tolerate, the muscle physically tears and has a little micro injury, right? Your immune system swoops in to heal up that tissue, and the result is you have a stronger tissue. However, that process takes 2, sometimes up to 7 to 10 days. So if we are interrupting that process by lifting the weight again in the same motion, doing the same exercise, and creating tears in a muscle that's trying to heal, it's like breaking open a scab before it's healed. And so it's just prolonging that immune system to fully run its course and create stronger muscle. So that's why people tend to either regress, like they'll get weaker because they spin in chronic inflammation, or they just won't see their muscles grow because they're not actually giving their body that full time to repair. So I think that's the problem. I think how we do it is that Monday through Friday, we work a different muscle group. And then on Saturdays and Sundays, I do recommend people move every day because motion is lotion. But I don't recommend a stressful workout on Saturdays and Sundays. So from a muscle standpoint or from a systemic standpoint. So I don't want people to go out and really stress their systems on a hard run or taking a power yoga class. I mean, all of those things are stress to your system. So not only are you healing your musculoskeletal system, but you're healing your nervous system by not placing additional stress when you're trying to heal.
How long is the optimum? I mean, you gave a range, and now in my head, I'm like, so is it 48 hours? Is it 72 hours? Does it differ from my quad to my bicep, to my tricep, to my delt?
Depends on the amount of damage incurred. So I really think that a scrape on your skin is a great way to think about this. If you have a small scrape, that could heal in a matter of just a few days. If you have a larger scrape, obviously it takes longer. So the more damage you create in your muscles, the harder your workout, the more time that will take to heal. As far as size of muscles, your glutes are a larger muscle than your biceps. Do those take longer to heal? I'm actually not sure. I would say probably. just that makes sense to me, like just because there's more immune tissue that needs to come in there and do its job. So I would say that maybe like bigger muscles take a little bit longer to heal. It also depends on genetics, and it also depends on sleep. Are you getting enough sleep? Because if you're not getting enough sleep, your immune system is distracted by being fatigued. Are you eating enough? Are you eating the right things? Are you hydrating enough? So all of those things will influence how quickly you heal. If you have amazing genetics, if you're sleeping enough, eating enough, drinking enough, I say like a max of, 2 days in between when you work a muscle.
That's fair. So you fundamentally, really honestly, changed my workouts, and I didn't do too many straight bar exercises. I know a lot of people do straight bar exercises. I haven't, I love the squat. But the squat, be honest, in my later, I say maybe in my 20s, that was a cool thing. And how much weight you can do. I haven't benched in a really long time, but one thing that you did, I basically stuck to dumbbell and Nautilus exercises, which back in the Nautilus sort of, I don't know what you think or what you lived through, but Nautilus went through this thing when it first came out, at least in the bodybuilding, where it was like, that's it. Then it went through this thing, you'll never grow on a Nautilus. And then it sort of came back to dumbbells, and then it's sort of a hybrid now. But
yeah,
what I'm talking about here is the individual reps. So normally people, even with dumbbells, will do both hands at once. And I think you did either a story or a post or your website.
Yes.
I can't remember. Can you talk about this effect and what it is? Because it's actually game changing.
Yes. Okay. So 2 things to discuss here. One is a phenomenon called bilateral deficit that we'll talk about. And then the second is I think you're kind of going down the idea of compound exercises versus more targeted exercises towards muscle groups. Okay. So we'll talk about bilateral deficit first. So bilateral deficit is this cool phenomenon with your nervous system where your nervous system can produce slightly more output, more muscular output when you're using one limb versus 2 limbs. So for example, you can lift more weight using one arm and a bicep curl than if you were to do both at the same time. Same thing with your legs. So like doing a lunge, you can produce more, slightly more output than you could if you were doing a squat with both of your legs on the ground. This has to do with your nervous system in the sense that your nervous system is really good at doing one thing at a time, and it's really crappy at doing multiple things at a time. So the more you can funnel down your focus and exercise, the more stable you will be, the less risky the exercise will be, and the more results you will get because your body will be able to dedicate all of its resources to the targeted muscle and produce the best output there. So pretty interesting there. And that feeds into the idea of these compound exercises using a bar. Compound exercises, straight bar comes to mind. So like overhead presses with a straight bar, squats, deadlifts, their curls. You have to use 2 arms or 2 limbs when you're using a straight bar for pretty much everything. So the idea is bilateral deficit plays into that, right? And then also, again, your nervous system just has a hard time doing a lot of things at once. So one of my issues with a squat is that not only are you, in a squat, you're basically trying to target the legs, but unintentionally, you have to stabilize every single vertebra in your spine, 24 vertebra. There's load coming down. Your body has to spread its resources thin to stabilizing your spine, stabilizing your hips, stabilizing your feet, stabilizing your knees. There's a lot that your nervous system has to do. So its resources are spread thin. So the output tends to plummet. The more that's going on in an exercise, the less benefit you will see. So that's why I'm not a huge fan of those compound exercises. I just think that the risk tends to be a little bit higher than the reward.
Yeah. And I'll just thank you because it really did change. At least what I've found is on this bilateral deficit phenomenon is that I can actually use less weight, but know that I'm getting more workout or getting more workout. Is that a thing? I don't know.
Yeah. Getting better results.
I'm getting more results. Yeah. I'm getting more
muscular benefit.
Yeah. Like in biking, it's called watts. whatever. I'm putting out more energy per this exercise at a lower weight to get this desired result, which is ultimately strength and size.
That's a good analogy to think of it like watts.
Well, that's how I like, I don't know how to think of it. Any, when someone says to me on the bike, like how much are you putting out? The only thing that we measure, well, we measure all sorts of things, but basically you can say heart rate, which just doesn't translate over to you because my heart rate is different than yours. And I could have been dehydrated through this like 100 things are wrong with using. I'm not saying we use it as a gauge, but watts doesn't lie. My 100 watts is the same as your 100 watts. Now, yeah, what do we use? Like, what word do we use in lifting weights?
How I do it is I use, again, I try to standardize things by breaking it down from this biomechanical standpoint, and you can kind of calculate force. And this isn't like a perfect calculation, or this isn't like a perfect unit, but really because gravity comes involved and there's lots of complicated things when you're calculating physics and force. But basically you can calculate inches per pound. So like how many pounds of force are produced per inch. So that's kind of how I calculate it and how I standardize it and it's just a way to compare two different exercises and compare how much force is going through this movement and how much force is going through this movement. And like watts, it's standard, right? It doesn't lie. It's math. You can't there's no subjectiveness. It's just like, it's black and white. It's there. So that's kind of how the measure that I've used to wrap your head around like how much stress is going through this joint. And do we want that or do we not want that?
Did we cover everything? I gave you like the list beforehand. I think I was looking, I think we covered a lot, right?
I love it. You're so easy to talk to and have great questions. I'm so glad you invited me on.
Well, yeah, I'm excited. I was really excited about your whole approach that you have and really just your journey. Like I love people. If it's not evident, I love online businesses for all the reasons we talked about. And I love exercise. And my whole thing with entrepreneurs is having done this entrepreneur thing for, I'm not that old, but I did it started early. It's been like I started in 19, forget the lemonade stand. I started really like, everybody.
No, don't forget the lemonade stand. The most important lessons are learned then.
Yeah, mine was that, you need to know your market because we lived on a farm in the middle of nowhere and I sold like zero. But I think 1996 or whatever that is that if you want to be an entrepreneur and a true entrepreneur, and I say this, not everybody can be an entrepreneur. And I continue to say that online world thinks that you can lift weights, get big by not doing drugs. You can do all this crazy stuff and that magically you're entitled to be an entrepreneur, which is absolutely not. It's not true. I find it insulting.
I do too.
I celebrate people like you who have transformed their business and are excited about it and like into it. Like you can see it on your Instagram. You're like, I sent you that note and I was like, man, I sent you that note about the audio mute panels and stuff. And I was like, oh, maybe she's going to be like, shut up, Brandon. I don't need your advice, but I was just really excited for you because I could see like, you're like, oh, I'm going to do a podcast and I got my mic and, I'm doing I think you're using GarageBand for that.
Yes. Is that what you use? I see
you writing your notes and eventually you'll get where you don't have to, it's like, I can see in that journey and I just love it to
thank you.
See that success.
Thank you. It's so fun. It's so fun. I think like the biggest piece is just getting past the fear of being scrutinized and just being like, okay, this is what I know. There's going to be people that disagree with me, but on the same token, there are so many more people that I can actually help. And when you get past that, I think like that's what I've tried over the last 8 months to get past. And I've seen like it just becomes so much more limitless, I think. So I'm having a blast.
Oh, cool. Yeah. And to finish my thought, because my wife tells me that I say things, but then I finish them in my brain and then I move on and I don't say them,
I do
which
the
is,
same thing. I do the same thing. It's so bad.
it's terrible. It's actually terrible for your significant spouse, in my case, wife, in your case, husband. But
they become mind readers. They just start to figure it out.
oh, not my wife. She's like,
Oh no.
you need to finish your sentence because when you do that to other people, they think you're weird.
I didn't notice that. If it makes you feel any better.
Well, good. But for an entrepreneur, you got to have mind, body, and business. And if you do not, first of all, it's not going to be balanced. So anybody who says that is probably on drugs or lying or trying to sell you something that isn't good. But you do have to have that training your mindset. And it's not mindset. It's really just understanding yourself. And you've got your body. Like, it's like what you were saying about fitness and lifting and losing weight. Like, it's 80% in the diet. Being an entrepreneur I'm going to say it, you do the work, but 80% in your mind and your body, because without your body, you're just not going to get there.
I totally agree. I spend so much money on my mind. I will say so much money and time. What
does that mean?
I get coached. So I get coached. I spend a lot of time journaling and emptying my mind onto a piece of paper. I spend a lot of time like listening to podcasts where I can like learn and self-develop. I would say probably 20 hours a week on my own mind. And to me, that's a non-negotiable.
Oh, that's awesome. I just did a podcast on how a millionaire invests $1. And it touches on what you've just said. So if you haven't listened to it, I recommend it. And any listeners, you should recommend do it because it talks about investing in yourself.
Ooh, can't wait.
But that's like shameless promotion. But here, I want to offer you something only because I really have been in social media since 1996. You read my background, but I ran the largest social networking site for sport fishermen. And what I learned was that, and men can be, I don't want to judge who's meaner. Men and women are mean, and hurt people will hurt people.
Yes. Agreed.
But here's how and I think maybe this just comes with some age. Like I said, I'm not that old, but as you do get in these decades, you sort of get these moments. And here's how I look at it, Shannon, and I would offer you only because I know you said it earlier and I let it go, but you said something, you're like, all that bad stuff, it bothers me. And I know how that feels.
Yes.
And it can be a heavy weight that can totally screw your day. And it actually screws up everything. But here's how I see it. I think I am generally easily to talk to and a good person, and I'm not evil. And I think you are absolutely 100% the same thing.
Oh, thank you.
But there's like 9 billion people on this earth. Isn't there like 9 billion people?
9 billion. That sounds right.
Yeah. So statistically speaking, there is no way that everybody will like me or you. So I changed my whole expectation. Instead of saying, well, I want everybody to like me, and we want everybody to like us, not because we're defining our self-worth, but because we're putting ourselves out there. And we're like, how could someone be such a 4-letter word here when I'm trying to help? By the way, I'm giving it to you for free, which you're not entitled to. I'm doing that.
Thank you.
And you're going to shit all over me and like say something that I had a pimple on my head. Like, seriously, get over yourself.
I know.
But if you have the mindset that I actually believe, I actually know and accept that not everybody's going to like me. And as long as I'm not evil or haven't put my foot forward, that allowed me to release this. It's like you're wearing a backpack and every day, like these 3 negative comments are weighing your back. You're carrying this around.
Yes.
So I just offer that. It's not an overnight solution, but if you can think about it that way and just say there's 9 billion people, of course, everyone's not going to like me. And quite candidly, I actually don't like everyone either.
That's such a good point. And that's one of those things that is, like you said, you have to rewire your brain. Because I think we have, especially women, are wired to have everyone like them. I mean, that's how I grew up. And so rewiring that is like going to take a lot of practice. But thank you for saying that, because I think there is some level of freedom, like knowing that, oh, if I just think 50% of people are going to hate me and not like me, like, okay, cool. Then when it happens, I'm like, oh yeah, I expected that. I knew that was coming. Like, no big deal. I love that. Thank you.
Life is about expectations, but I want to thank you for your time, but I don't want to go because I prepared you for the 3 HPTs that you would give, high percentage tips that you would give people about their fitness and approach to live in a better, healthier life.
Yes. Okay. 3 tips. Lift the weights slowly and smartly. Recover properly. And I think the third would be to work on loving yourself more every day. That would be my 3.
Well, that's a good one. That one sounds like a full podcast unto itself.
I know it really could be multiple.
But thanks a lot. How can people find you?
So I have a fitness platform called Evlo Fitness, EVLO fitness.com. You can check that out. There's a free 7-day free trial. Instagram, Dr. Shannon, dr.shannon.dpt. Dr. Shannon DPT. And then my new podcast is Fit Body, Happy Joints.
And how many days a week are you doing your podcast?
Just one right now. That's all I can do.
That's all you should do to start. So listen, Thank you so much. You are super busy. Congratulations on your business. And thank you for sharing all of these tips just to live a healthier, not pain-free, but do less damage to your joints life.
Oh, I am so happy to be here. It was a blast. Thank you for having me.
There we go.
Woo, that was fun. Thank you, Brandon.
Yeah, good job. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was a blast. I'm sorry for my technical difficulties in the beginning, but maybe it'll be humorous to some people.
No, hey, it's real life. And that's my thing. I try to be to people is I'm not trying to, I don't even do this for my day job. Like I like doing this. I want to give back. I want people to realize that the lives we live are not perfect.
Well, I love it. You are very talented, and this was the easiest interview I've ever done. So,
well, yeah, and I didn't correct you, and I think I said it like, I don't do interviews. I just want to have conversations because those are interesting, right?
Yes.
Some people Shannon do come on, and some of them don't make it. Like I'm at a point in the podcast where I'm just in my evolution, so to speak, where I'm just not going to do a marketing promotional piece like that. Like I want real information.
Yeah. You, when I finally bring guests on, like the way you did this is how I will try to like mimic, because this was so lovely. So thank you again for having. How long have you been podcasting?
You really want to know?
Yeah.
Since 1998.
What?
I actually we were doing podcasts. I mean, honestly, I was one of like early internet guys, people. I did podcasts, quote unquote, because I used to do fishing reports, and fishing reports are anywhere from 1,000 to 3,000 words to do a good fishing report. And what I realized was that I could record it. I was actually doing videos, and I just like, it was like 240p. I mean, it was terrible resolution and the audio, and we would record it. And, so I love media, Shannon. Like I'm really excited for you to transition from selling time for money to creating something that has a long tail on it. It's hard. I'm actually super impressed you did it in the time frame. I mean, do you have hundreds of members?
We are at like 425. So
425 people that pay that rate?
yeah, yeah. Well, okay, I should say not all of them pay that rate. I started at $20 last year. So I
A
have
month.
gone up in price. Yeah. So some people are grandfathered into that.
Yeah.
Probably about 100 people are grandfathered into the old price.
Well, that's
So,
good. Yeah, but that's awesome. I'm really excited for you. And
oh,
if I can
thank
help you in
you.
any way, I cut my teeth in all of the membership churn. I was an early guy at America Online, and I co-founded the marketing and analysis division, which was the first big data division of any internet company.
Wow.
And we
Gosh,
did
you have like a crazy resume.
I do. Most people don't believe it, but I don't have kids. Um,
Oh, don't tell me that because I'm like, I could get so much more done if I don't have kids.
well, yeah, I mean, I'm not saying have kids or not, but I'm going to tell you, if you have
Yeah.
kids, like my friends, my wife and I get a lot of hate from our friends. I mean, some friends aren't friends anymore.
Jealousy.
Well, yeah, because I can ride my bike for 15 hours a week. I can do all these businesses. And I have had, guardian angel, whatever you want to call it. I've actually had a pretty incredible career. I actually work in the USG government and I've worked and still do in a place south of you. My second company that I sold did all the software engineering, classified software engineering in the US. Not all of it. The major classified programs our company did. Yeah.
What? Oh my gosh. It just keeps going. It's
Yeah. There's no,
crazy.
like, I just like new things. I'm a Sagittarius. I know that probably sounds a little weird, but, uh,
No, not at all.
I just like
That's
to
awesome.
do new things that people are like, oh, you can't do that. We did. Yeah. Right. You can do anything you want in your life.
I
Um,
am I feel the exact same way. I'm like, let's do it all.
like you will blow people's mind on what you're doing right now, just so you know. I don't think you clearly understand how hard it is to get 425 paying members on a recurring membership. I mean, I don't know if you're billing them monthly or you're doing a yearly thing, but
Monthly.
yeah,
Yes.
monthly. First of all, you should shift. I know you won't want to
I
you'll be scared to do that, but otherwise you're going to get churn.
Right. And that's what I'm dealing with now. You think exclusively yearly, like don't even offer the monthly?
So I have a newsletter that you'll be put on that you'll get for free that I charge $997 a month.
A month?
$997 a year. There's no option for monthly that we're moving to because I don't want to deal with,
Really?
well, here's what happens. So you haven't experienced this yet, but if you get cancellations, you get dinged by your payment processor, and eventually they'll hold back the payments so you won't get your cash as fast because they won't want to take the risk, right? They want to hold your cash so that when you get
Right.
these chargebacks, I learned all this at America Online. Like I ran the financials for America Online. Um,
Wow.
so what'll happen is you'll start getting churn, and now and then you're going to get failed payments. And then you're going to have to track down failed payments. And there's a few places that you can get if you get enough of them. But if even if you get to 1,000 members, you don't have enough to make it worth their while to chase them down. So now what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to chase them down, or you're going to have to hire a virtual assistant to chase them down. And
Yeah.
now you're going to deal
Yeah.
with churn. And, uh, and plus, I guess
This is a really good thing to think about.
and you're going to have to decide at some point what client you want. Do you want a client who's committed to Dr. Shannon, or do you want one that dabbles? Because the one that dabble, they're going to take all your effing time.
That's so true. Oh my gosh. They're the most high maintenance ones. The people that are the cheapest are the most high maintenance. That is
Here's the difference in coaching, Shannon. The difference is this. You know what a 50,000 like it. So for 2 days on site, if you want me to come help your business, it's $50,000. And you know what $50,000 people say to me? The money's been wired. You want to know what the cheap people say to me?
Got to talk to my wife.
Well, sometimes it's the wife talking to the husband, but
Right.
It is, Brandon, this money's really important to me. and you understand that this is, and I hear 30 minutes of that along with 50 email follow-ups, regret, buyer's remorse, and 6 other things, I just give their money back because I do not have time. So I'm just offering you, and I'm friends with like guys, Nathan Barry, who owns ConvertKit, all these types of guys who are in subscription businesses and software as a service. So if I can ever help you, free advice.
I would love to eventually talk about that because I see the value in business coaching, and since I get coached, I see that how much it can exponentially grow your business. So I would love to someday talk about that with you because just given your resume, you probably know your shit.
I do know. Yeah. I've done a lot. I've been lucky, and I've failed more than I've been successes. I just had 2 really good successes.
Well, that's the way you have to do it. Fail. I try to fail 25 times a quarter.
Well, what's your husband? What you guys don't, I'm trying to figure out your age. How old are you?
I'm 28. We're both 28.
How did you destroy your joints at 28?
Oh, my joints were destroyed at 23. It was crazy. Just overuse. And
I was trying to figure that out. I was like, oh, you look like you're in your math of what you described would put you at like 31. Not that you look 31.
No, I'm not.
But the math. So what's your husband going to do with his MBA?
He is working. We're moving to LA in June, and he'll be working for McKinsey, which is a consulting company.
I know who they are. So when you move there, when's he graduate this year?
He graduates in May. Yes, end of May.
So cool. We will be able to hook up because 1 is my wife's from there. 2 is I own a construction management company and a security business, and we have a place in Beverly Hills. I'm redoing the entire school district of Beverly Hills, about $750 million project. So I go to LA all the time.
We should meet up when the pandemic's over, which hopefully will
be. Where are you going to move?
Summer. I think we're thinking like Santa Monica.
I stay in San. Well, my parents-in-law live on Venice Canals.
Okay.
But Santa Monica is a good area. But if maybe you have friends there, I'm happy to help. I have to go. I go there all the time. So
yeah, I would. We still don't have a place yet, so I think we're gonna rent for a year and then hopefully think about buying eventually. So we're not just dumping all of our money in rent every month.
No, it'd be good. Yeah, that's a tall task. McKinsey will kill you.
I know. I'm a little worried about it because we're both workaholics, but I think hopefully with this new virtual world, they won't have them traveling as much.
He must be smart because that's still hard to get into.
He's really smart. He got in the 99th percentile on his GMAT. He's really smart.
That's awesome.
He helps me a lot too.
Well, you seem very smart too. So.
Oh, thank you.
I look forward to linking up with you anytime I can help. You have my personal cell. So,
yay. Thank you so much, Brandon. And same to you. Any way I can help you. And if we want to do another pod in the future, I would love to. So
yeah, if you I'll watch your stuff. I'd love to do something down the line and maybe we just go deep into one topic. This is also on TV. I'm in 80,000 homes on Comcast. So, yeah.
I didn't know that. Oh my gosh. That's awesome.
If I told you everything, I actually should, maybe you're open to this. So I'm a writer for Entrepreneur Magazine and Forbes. I just got 2 articles that just came out recently, but I could do a piece on you from a business perspective of how you've grown your business if you're willing to be open with your stats and stuff.
I would love that. That's something actually I do need to think about because as far as I'm just talking about it, I would love to, but at the same time, I'm what do you recommend as far as being open about those type of things?
Well, I will send you a link after we're done on email. My Build a Business financials, right now it's not all hooked up yet, are completely open sourced. So you can see my churn rate, you can see my revenue. And here's why. Because people actually in the beginning want to go through the journey with you. So
I
now they're not
agree.
just your customer, right? John Lee Dumas, who has a very popular Entrepreneurs on Fire podcast, who he's on my podcast and I'll be on his in June. He open sources his entire books.
Oh, I think that's a huge thing in getting your customers to probably churn less, is that they feel connected to you from a business. Sorry, I'm plugging in.
That's okay.
And they feel connected.
I was like, I hope you're not going to the
business
bathroom.
standpoint. No.
Just joking, but I only because I do that, but I turn off the cam. Is because I'm on this thing all the time. But
you turn off the cam.
Yeah, if I have to get who in their right mind can't like I drink 2 gallons of water a day. I mean, a gallon of water a day. Like you're gonna have to use the restroom, Shannon. Like
while you're doing podcasts and talking to people
or on meetings. Yeah, I just put it on mute. What do they know?
Oh, that is so good. I've never been able to do that. I've always been too afraid.
As long as it's on mute. And I've been caught, like my assistant, Gia, but she's been my EA for 7 years. She's like, can you please put it on mute? I know you're peeing.
Can you please? That is so good.
So how do I feel about things? I feel like you should be open source, but that's a total, a total decision. And here's why. And here's what I would suggest it for you, especially, but for me too, is there's so many fake marketers out there who are taking pictures in bullshit jets and all this stuff. And they're acting like they're a fitness fanatic. And I bet you have more members with 30,000 or whatever followers than these a-holes who have 3 million.
Really?
Well, yeah. Furthermore, I hope you're turning all these followers into an email list. Because if you want to know
yes.
So that's the magic. And the metric is you should make $1 a month per sub if you suck, and as much as 5 if you're good.
Oh, interesting. You know what? I could probably tell you right now. I think I have 6,000 email subscribers.
So you should at a minimum be making $6,000 a month off that email list.
Yeah. So more. So I probably am doing $3 per email
that's awesome.
subscriber.
Good job.
I didn't know that was a good
that
thing.
Yeah, that's called internet marketing. But yes, there's all the metrics that you
call internet. Amy Porterfield is who I learned that from. And
Amy is very, very good at what she does. So, she used to work for Tony Robbins.
Yes. She's excellent. I bought her program and she probably makes like $6 million every time she launches.
She does. And I know this because what you probably don't know about me either is I used to teach for Damon John, Robert Helzacek, and Grant Cardone. I know all those guys from Shark Tank. And
oh my gosh.
I taught all of their how to build a business plan and pitch deck in 13 slides, which is my program that I don't sell anymore. You only get access to it by subscribing to my newsletter.
Oh my gosh. What? That is so crazy. Oh my gosh. Maybe eventually I need to have you on my podcast. I don't know. Like I would love to talk business with you, but I don't know,
I'm a fitness
too far from.
I'm a fitness.
You are a fitness guy.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've done every major bike ride in the hardest ones in the world. So Death Ride, 126 miles, 16,000 feet, Diabocal Double in Appalachian Mountains, which is 16,500 over 125 miles. I've done Diabocal Double, 200 miler. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You're an animal.
I don't stop.
Wow. Yeah, you don't. Wow.
I'd love to be on your podcast. I also have a good email list too. So.
You do. Awesome.
I have like 50,000 subs on my house list.
That's not your paid newsletter.
No, these are all like my lead magnets and everything on an email list and that's small. Like some of my friends, like Amy Porterfield, people like Russell Brunson. Amy probably is at like 500,000 now.
Wow. So that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. Amy is the master at NLP. Like
She is, but I don't like reading her emails. I mean,
I hate her emails.
I'm
I
on
hate her
there.
podcast now too. It's always salesy.
I know, I agree. I actually was listening with my husband. He was like, I feel like this is all just a sales pitch for
It
the
is.
program. Like it's not actually, yeah, it
It's
is.
Tony
It is.
Robbins. So I
I
know
mean,
Tony Robbins, like that program, that's what she's doing. It works, but you don't get long-term. I bought her course too, because I buy them all to see what she's doing, but it's not a long-term
yeah,
play. Like she keeps getting newbies.
exactly. It felt very elementary when I bought it. I was very disappointed because I had been listening to her podcast for over a year. So I feel like I knew everything like religiously. So I feel like I knew everything that was in her program already just from her free content. So I was super frustrated. And it's like $2,000. It's not that cheap. So
Did you already launch your podcast?
I did.
I'll tell you, I'll give you, if you want, because you're building your business and your husband's in school, but eventually you'll be able to pay. But I'll give you, if you want access to my Pat Flynn is the best podcast, who has the best podcast program, mainly because his modules are very short, but he tells you how to truly launch and how to like he
Yes.
keeps up on tips and stuff. He's a good dude. I think he crashed his business. I don't really know. Like a lot of these people are fake. He was making like $3 million, and now I don't think he's making that. But I think he veered off on
Oh, that
the wrong way.
sucks.
But he may be making more. John Lee Dumas told me he thinks that as soon as people stop being transparent with their revenue, that these marketing people crash.
Really?
He has a very good course, is what I'm telling you. It's Pat Flynn's course is worth the podcast course is worth it if you're going to be committed to podcasting.
Okay, that's good to know because I like his podcast. So I didn't even know he had a course. I'm gonna go look it up.
Yeah.
It's good to know.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't want to keep you. I'm sorry. You're very easy.
No, I love talking about this stuff. Like I think you're obviously an inspiration and I feel like I probably got more out of this talk than you did. So I
No,
really appreciate
I
you
get to
staying on
publish
longer
your
and talking.
podcast and you get to send it to your people, and we're, and people here where they can get on yours, and I'll write all that stuff and
Yes.
help you.
Yes. I definitely will share it on my Instagram and stuff so that
Yeah,
my
we'll give
followers
you
can see it
we'll
too,
give
for
you
sure.
all the assets. All right. Well, I've kept you and I got to go eat lunch. So thank you
Okay.
so
Sounds
much,
good.
Shannon.
Yay. Thank you. I'm so excited to hear this episode. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, take
Great
care.
to talk to you. You too. Bye.